I was contemplating if I should be doing another top 5 this soon to the new mini set, but we still have like 5 more days till that comes, so might as well give you guys what are the best decks in Hearthstone right now, so you know what you should be working with. We're gonna go over 5 of the best decks, but we're also gonna check out all of the other classes, so we know what's the working archetypes for each class. So if you're serious about Hearthstone and you enjoy what I'm doing, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching through Metafy. Now, let's check out the decks.
Prepared!
Obviously we are still starting off with Spell Token Hunter because it has been a hell of a deck for quite a while now, and yeah, it's just way too good right now. It has been for quite a while, and not much has really changed in this one. We are seeing the Ball of Spiders making a return in here, as well as a couple of kill commands so you have a little bit of extra reach. A couple of camouflage mounts help you get some extra damage where you're not supposed to, and it also helps you build a sticky board, summoning an extra free afterwards. But all around the deck looks pretty standard stuff, and not much really is different here. We still have the -1/1/1/1 Ziliax, we still have Agrimar, Leroy for some lethal outs again with extra reach, and Barracoto Bane for extra card draw. Name of the game is stick some early game boards, chip away some early phase damage, and then finish off your opponent either through that big board you've stuck with the help of Saddle Up, or through the help of things like Agrimar weapon, kill commands, Leroys, and hero powers. Matchup-wise, here's what the stats show. Flood Paladin is definitely not gonna be your friend because you're gonna be benefiting greatly from you going wide. And Mining Rogue is gonna be a 50-50 here, so there's that as well. Other than that, the other popular matchups should be good for you. We probably have better similar decks with a lot more sample size, like this one for instance. It has the Glacial Shard still. But yeah, I'm just gonna show you the matchups so you have a better idea, and literally everything is green aside from some pallies. Moving back to the mulligan, here's what it looks like going first, and obviously Leroy is not your best keep. When you're looking at these stats, it's very important to also notice the kept rate, because when you see something ridiculous like this, like who in their right mind is going to hold on to Leroy with Hunter? So no, you're never going to do that, whereas the weapon, Awakened Tremors, Sneaky Snakes, Musician, Jungle Gym is not bad in this variant because of the spiders. Miracle Salesman's also okay. Depending on the matchup, Patchwork Pals can be great, and also RC Rampage is usually not bad either. But yeah, depending on the matchup, again, Awakened Tremors might not be something you keep against certain opponents, like let's say if you're against the Paladin, let's say if you're against the fellow Hunter, like they can literally counter both your free ones on turn 2 with a couple of 1/1 snakes or some Silverhand recruits, that kind of nonsense. So be careful who you're keeping this against. As for on the coin, here's what it looks like again. Similar stuff. Ziliax becomes a lot more keepable going second. It's usually very easy for you to drop it, because even as soon as turn 3 you could do something silly like coin out Patchwork Pal, like coin out the RC Rampage and still be able to actually play Ziliax that turn, as long as your board was empty, that is. As long as the opponent played like, 1 minion? 2 minions. They need to have 2 minions on the board, and you RC Rampage, making it 6 minions, and that gives you 0 mana, down from 8 mana Ziliax for 0 basically, so that can be kind of cool. But yeah, the rest is kind of same stuff. Agrimar, again, never a keep. For other good Hunter decks, tons of different iterations of Spell Token Hunter basically, and Highlander Hunter is still doing quite fine as well. It's not in the top of the list anymore, but it's still very capable, very straightforward, feel good kind of deck. Like, you don't really need to think too much with that one. You just play the green card usually and steamroll a lot of opponents, even though it could feel kind of bad against better players in higher legend, that's for sure. You can check out my detailed guides about Spell Token Hunter so you guys have a better idea of how to play with and against this deck as well. On the number 2 spot we have Handbuff Pally, and this is a different iteration that's no longer running the Excavate package. Again, I do have a detailed guide about this deck with some gameplay action to go with it, so you guys have a better idea of what to do with it. And yeah, the deck is pretty nice actually. You have tons of small crap in here, and you get to buff them relatively quickly with things like Muscleotron, with Grime Street Outfitter, that kind of deal. And you still have the weapon obviously, but we have 0 Excavate cards in this one. Because that game plan is a little bit slow, and with this one you're a lot quicker. Like turn 3, turn 4 you can actually be dropping some hella chunky men, and a lot of opponents can't even handle that. You also have a couple of Cult Neophytes to buy yourself sometimes. Scarab Keychain is very nice in here, so it basically gives you something to do while filling your hand with something good. You could definitely cheese some opponents with some nutty discovers like Extra Cult Neophytes. Doomsayer is an excellent discover against the Rimi Priest, I've noticed. Again, check out my video, see what I mean. We also have the South Sea Deckhand in here, and with the help of the weapon, this man can actually charge for big damage, especially if you have a couple of fat outfit tailors to slap on, and that's literally turn 7 OTK kind of damage potential. Like with the help of the Grime Street with the Muscle-Otron, that's +6/+6 alone. And with 5 weapon swings, that's +11/+11, so that makes this into a potential +13/+13 twice. So that's slapping 26 extra damage on this guy, which also probably received a ton. And yeah, like best case scenarios, this thing can go above 40 damage basically. Other than that, we have some card draw action going with things like Gold Banner, only a single copy by the way, that sounds a little bit weird. You still have Tigress Plushie, which is super strong, Toy Captain Terum's in here, Magata is also in here because you literally have 0 spells in this one, so it always refills your hand very nicely. And we do have Amidus for extra buff, and we also have Ziliax, and he's actually the perfect module plus discount module, so you can actually stabilize while you buff up. Here's what the matchup looks like. Zarimi, not a good matchup. Definitely didn't feel like that, but maybe I just got lucky. Spell Talking Hunter could be a problem indeed. Other pallies are weird. Definitely, but the deck has a lot better overall win rate. This kind of looks depressing, not gonna lie, but once you start playing with it, feels like it's a bit better than all of the red we're seeing here, so yeah, definitely give it a check. As for the mulligan, here's what it looks like going first. Magata, not the worst thing in the world to hold on to, but consider what the matchup is. Like, if you're against the Hunter, if you're against the Priest, ain't nobody got time for Magata. On turn 5, you should be looking for lethal outs, not card draw. On the other hand, Gold Banner is definitely great. Instrument Tech to get the weapon, Muscle-Otron is nice. Depending on the matchup, if you're expecting it to be slow, Outfit Tailors can definitely be great. This way you can start buffing him for some potential OTK action with the help of South Sea later on. Also, straight up holding onto the weapon ain't bad. Drone Deconstructor is okay. Grime Street is also kinda okay, but you are going first, so you don't have that many things in hand, so buffing that early, not super amazing. Scarab Keychain, definitely not that bad. And yeah, try not to be holding on too many 1-drops. Like, a single 1-drop is usually enough with this one. You don't want to be spending your hand that quickly, so be careful with that. And as for on the coin, the situation is not much different. Tigress Plushie becomes a lot more keepable here, but the rest is kind of the same stuff. On the number 3 spot, we also have Flood Pally, and yeah, this one is also doing quite fine right now. We are also running Hearthstone Brew in here, so you can actually have an alternate game plan, and same can be said for Flint Firearm, which can also high roll you some big stuff. Other than that, the deck is pretty standard stuff again. I do have video guides about it, coaching sessions, gameplay, so give those a check. The 1-drop is the standard package. I've seen lists that also run, instead of a Mermy, they run the Naga 1-3, which is also pretty interesting, sticky minion. We also have Hi-Ho, Mining Casualties, so you can go wide. The Showdown combo with the help of Prismatic, as well as Sea Giants, can be super strong. Ziliax also gets discounted super quickly like that. Like, you can literally do a turn 2, turn 3 kind of Showdown into Ziliax, and Ziliax makes your idiots into 4/4, so you can make the value trades with his, and that leaves you on the board with some chunky men like that. Very powerful stuff. We also have a couple of Crusader Auras, a single Boogie Down, and those are actually your free holy spells in this one, so sometimes your Hi-Ho will come out empty. Flash Sale is also excellent in here, and yeah, all around standard stuff. You've seen this deck before. Matchup-wise, not really any bad ones, at least that's what it says. Warrior is a bit of 50-50. Against those, you basically want to be building some giant boards before they have access to their really good removal, so try and work towards that game plan there. As for the mulligan, here's what it shows again. Going first, we have Ziliax, definitely not bad, especially if you have Showdown. Showdown is also great. Boogie Down's not horrible. Gold Banner can be a keep. Your best 1-drop is usually a Miracle Salesman, but honestly, any 1-drop would do. Just don't keep more than one 1-drop, I'd say. You only have 6 in the deck, and that's what Boogie Down is in here for in the end of the day. Muster for Battle ain't bad. One of your good 2-drops can also work, and if you already have a good curve, even things like Crusader or Flash Sale can make the cut. Sea Giant can also be a keep if you already have a Showdown, let's say. And on the coin, again, kind of similar stuff, like literally the same situation, but Gold Banner becomes a little bit less desirable, same with Flash Sale. But yeah, all around it's very close. For other good Pally decks, we can also see that Highlander Paladin is also up there. Obviously, Hand Buff Excavate is also still doing quite nicely. Here's a list like that. Again, I do have videos about it. The Highlander Pally, like I said, it's out there, just not that amazing. Like, where the hell is it? I'm actually gonna have to drag it 7 days past for us to actually see the Highlander Paladin. Apparently it's not doing as hot anymore. But yeah, here's some variations, 57% small sample size, but it definitely is out there. On the number 4 spot, we also still have Zarimi Priest doing quite well with just a few changes, like the nerfs didn't really change all that much aside from making the Zarimi turn a bit later, like turn 7, turn 8 kind of deal. But things like Claim Matriarch actually help you with 4 dragons for Zarimi, because once this dies it summons another dragon, and you also have a 1-mana 1/1 that also gives you another dragon. So that's a very effective way of actually pulling your drakes for the Zarimi requirement, and it's also your highest cost dragon, so you always get it through Scale Replica, and the second one always gives you Zarimi, and that's kind of nice still. You also have the Hearthstone Brew alternate game plan, which can help you if your hand is already dispensed, like if the Zarimi game plan didn't pan out. Hearthstone Brew can definitely help you out, or if you just ran out of steam, your hand's empty, you can also refill like that, very nice stuff. But other than that, nothing else has really changed for the deck. We're still running all of the good dragons. We have room for a single Starlight Whelp, so you can get some extra nutty stuff like extra funnel cakes, extra dragons, that kind of deal. Dreamboat is hella nice in this one, helping you with the overheal mechanic for your Crimson Clergy, just so you can make some good value trades as well. And it also makes a very chunky man. And that's a great minion for you to actually finish off your first Zarimi turn with, so you finish off on the board with something like a 7/8, which is pretty nice. Pip can give you extra funnel cakes for tons of extra mana cheats. It can also help you get extra cheap dragons, which are pretty big. We have Ziliax here with +1, -1 again. Amon Tool is also pretty annoying to play around. Couple of thirsty drifters that go down to 0 or potentially go down to 1, and you can copy them with Pip so you can really zerg the board with them. You can also copy a bunch of them with the help of a Celestial Projectionist, with the help of the spell that also copies them. So yeah, again, check out my video guides about this one. A very, very good deck if you know how to play with it. Flood Pally though is a very hard counter for you, and Spell Token is going to be a 50-50, but against Warriors you're going to be very good. As long as your Zarimi doesn't get pulled by a Dirty Rat, or as long as you know how to play that matchup. Like, all you gotta do in the Highlander Warrior matchup is put down stuff on the board. Not too much, just enough for the opponent not to actually start building themselves some big boards. And around turn 7, turn 8, you basically pull the trigger on the Zarimi, and you literally OTK the opponent with a very chunky board with the help of Ziliax, with the help of the Overheal Idiot. You usually do well above 40 damage around turn 7, turn 8. As long as you've done some chip damage in the early turns, just not allow the warrior to build boards, to build armor uninterrupted, you should be having pretty good time against them. As for the mulligan, again, check out my guide about it if you want to go into detail, but here's what the stats show going first. You basically want to be curving out nicely. You're not going to be holding on things like Clay Matriarch. You are going to draw them with the Scale Replica anyway later. But you can definitely do some pretty nasty stuff with Crimson Clergy, with Ship's Surgeon, with Funnel Cake. And yeah, it's a very, very dependent deck on what you already have, so you can consider what you should also hold on to. So try and figure out what you're going to be able to work with depending on what you already have, and the mulligan accordingly. As for on the coin, it's similar stuff. Never keep Hearthstone Brew, obviously. Thirsty Drifter, a bit of a sketchy keep as well in most cases, but if you think you're gonna make a very big one-drop hand, it could work out. You are going second, so you do have extra card, extra coin. So yes, it's kind of similar stuff. Dreamboat becomes a bit more keepable, and that's about it. For other good priest decks, we don't really have much else other than Zarimi Priests out there right about now, at least working decks. Highlander Priest is out there, but it's under 50, so what is that even? There's also this OTK Overheal Priest, that also kind of looks like a meme in most cases. So yeah, stick to Zarimi for now. And on the last spot, we still have Highlander Warrior doing pretty well, kind of warping the meta around itself. We are seeing a lot of different decks trying to emerge basically targeting Highlander Warriors and not doing that amazing against a lot of the other matchups. But yeah, Highlander Warriors definitely still a very problematic deck. This one is a little bit interesting. It does run some weird stuff like things like this remix tuning fork, like Zola. We also have straight up Fizzle in here instead of into the ETC. And as for the ETC, we have a Celestial Projectionist, an extra Dirty Rat, and a Viper. And your Ziliax is obviously the Twin plus Perfect module, so you can heal a ton and actually get some fuel for your Inventor Boom kind of deal. And yeah, the rest is very, very standard stuff. You have the Excavate package, tons of removal, tons of card draw, tons of armor gain, that kind of deal. Nothing really out of the ordinary. You're not running the 7-mana 1/1 idiots. You still have things like Sanitize. We're not running straight up Brawl. We do have the Brawler and the Gift, so on turn 5 you're a little bit lacking in terms of straight up removal. But all around the deck is still very, very powerful. Just don't get baited into always trying to win the game through the help of Boom Boss and Bran. Like if you're against aggro decks, you just control the board, and at some point they stop doing things and you're allowed to start doing your big things, like playing Ziliax, like building boards. You could even just tempo out Boom Boss like that. Don't always try to play Boom Boss after Bran is what I'm talking about. Like in some cases you might even have a Fizzle snapshot of your Boom Boss. In that case, you're very free to literally play the first Boom Boss without worrying about having Bran just yet. And once you get the Fizzle snapshot later on, you could crack open even a brand up Boom Boss like that, or even just another single Boom Boss. In the end of the day, you don't always have to maximize on that kind of value, so yeah, don't get baited by things like that. Matchup-wise, this one doesn't have that much stats, but yeah, Spell Token Hunter is going to be a little bit problematic. Let's see some similar, a lot more populated decks. Yeah, this one has Slam, the Steam Guardian, a Viper, and Trial by Fire, a lot more populated, but we are going to get a better idea of what the matchups look like. And everything is basically green, aside from Zarimi Priest, Hunters, and that's about it. I really don't get how Breakfast Hunter is a counter to Highlander Warrior, by the way, like how does that even happen? But that's just me. Anyway, mulligan-wise, here's what it looks like going first. It's more gonna be about the kept rate, honestly. You are gonna try to curve out decently well, and most matchups Bran is gonna be something you hold on to, as long as the opponent is not supposed to be running things like Dirty Rat against you, you might consider holding or not holding on to Bran. Card draw is usually king in most cases, and if you're against the aggro matchups, you might consider a bunch of removal as well. As for on the coin, the situation is not much different, so it really comes down to the matchup, guys. Again, check out my guides about this deck. You are gonna get a lot better of an idea of what you should be doing with it. For other good warrior decks, what other good warrior decks? It's basically nothing but Highlander warriors. Like pages and pages of them, small sample size, but everything is basically Highlander, and when we reach sub 50% we can see some stray different variations of some other warriors, but nothing really that amazing really. So yeah, stick to Highlander. Odin Warrior is not all that it's cracked up to be. For the classes we haven't mentioned, starting off with Death Knight, we can see Plague Death Knight is still close to 56% win rate, so it's definitely worth checking out. Rainbow DK, small sample size on it, but definitely playable. I've heard people talk about hand buff Rainbow DK. It's really not that amazing, honestly. It's fun when it works, but it usually doesn't. With Demon Hunters, Shopper Demon Hunter honestly could have made it into the list. It has a decent sample size, very good win rate. Nothing really out of the ordinary here. It's still same old bullshit. Try to get the mags and usually win like that. There's also Sharpshooter Demon Hunter out there, not that amazing though, and it's also kind of a skill issue with that one, because you definitely need to have more than a half track to actually pilot that one effectively. With Druids, definitely things like Hero Power Druid are very good, very easy deck to misplay with, so results for it should be a lot better if most of the people playing it actually know how to pilot it. It's also doing pretty well against the Highlander Warriors. It's also doing pretty well against the Hunters, against Paladins, so very, very decent deck. Might want to give it a go. Dragon Druid is also apparently up there again, with things like Aviana included, which is kind of weird, but yeah, the deck is actually powerful. We also have Highlander Druid doing pretty nicely, and that's about it for Druid, right? The rest is just iterations of these three. With Mages, Spell Mage apparently is somewhat playable. This actually was above 55% a couple of days ago, now it's more reasonable 52%. Everything else is kind of dog water though, so probably stay away to mage, at least if you want to be winning. Same kind of deal with rogue, honestly, but there are people that are actually doing quite well with things like weapon rogue and mining rogue, so definitely not an absolute dead class, but again, kind of a have to really know what you're doing with that one. You have to be able to manage all of that random nonsense you will be discovering, because once you start repeating it with tests, you need to be repeating good stuff and not just building boards that also get deleted with things like Twisting Nether kind of deal, so yeah. With shamans, we have a Highlander shaman at the top, doing decently well. You're not going to be very happy against Highlander warriors with that one, however, so there's that. Nature shaman apparently is again above 50%. This one is the Jive Insect variant, which is interesting. And the rest is sub 50, so there's that. And lastly, we have Warlock. Wow, what the hell are these stats for Sludge Warlock? Somebody has been making a killing on a pocket meta with it. We also have the Fatigue Warlock doing quite nicely. And it's also doing hella nice against things like warriors. Other than that, Pain Warlock is also something I have been seeing here and there, but not that often. I'm not sure, is it even on the first page? Not anymore, it seems. But yeah, on the second page, here's a Pain Lock variant, 53 with decent sample size. And Snake Warlock is kind of dead after they nerfed the bug with Alexstrasza, so there's that too. Wheel Warlock apparently is barely playable, but it's just a fraction of what it used to be. So that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing in the last days of this current Whizbang meta. If you found the video helpful and like what I'm doing, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can have me for some Hearthstone coaching. Thanks for watching, I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.